Horses thundered past the open gates of Oslok Hold, with riders who were more than grateful to be alive. It was almost dawn, and most of the citizens of the hold were sleeping, including the Jarl himself. Once he was awakened, and his advisors assembled in the main hall of the palace, audience was given to the men who had ridden from Echo Village, with news far too important to wait until sunrise. Jarl Ranwolf poured his rather sizable girth into his throne and gestured to his main servant to open the doors. The large oak double doors swung open with an eerie creak, and the riders stepped through, their leather armor beaded with vast sweat and rank with the odors of a long and difficult ride. Still, they observed the normal customs, despite the urgency of their news, bowing low to the Jarl before he bid them to rise.
"What's so urgent, gentlemen, that it could not go unspoken before the rising of the sun?"
A look was given, and wine quickly filled the Jarl's silver and jeweled goblet as he awaited the reply. A tall, blond rider stepped forward, wearing expensive leather armor that boasted a chorus of yak tails that covered each shoulder, connecting and forming a V shape at the top of the lower back.
"Your Grace, I am Gideon of House Corlo, captain of the King's Guard at Echo Village. A few hours ago, a dragon appeared out of nowhere and completely annihilated the settlement. The people that were not killed have likely fled to the surrounding forests. The closest hold by foot is Cantor, though it is at least a day's journey. We have ridden here to bring warning and offer our help with preparations should this beast attack again. I ordered others to ride to the royal city to warn the king."
The Jarl sipped his wine and dabbed the corners of his round lips with a silk handkerchief. If he had a response to give, he was saving it. By his reaction, he may as well have just heard that the livestock were laying eggs at their normal pace.
"Are you certain it was a dragon, Captain Corlo?"
"Yes, Your Grace."
"Dragons have been extinct since before our great-grandfathers were born. How can you be certain?"
"I have seen the bones of the ancient dragons in the royal city, Your Grace. This monstrosity had very similar features. It had the long curved neck, large black scales, and the horned face of a lizard. When it stretched its wings, I could not easily determine how far they extended. The wings were connected with an almost leathery look to them, like a bat, Your Grace. And if that were not adequate proof, Highness, then the fire that it breathed more than sufficed."
The Jarl pondered all of this and took another sip of wine.
"You say you sent riders to Finn to warn the king?"
"Yes, my Jarl."
"Are you certain they made it? If that is in fact a dragon, we can take no small amount of risk."
"My men and I can return to our steeds and ride to the royal city immediately, Your Grace."
"Nonsense! Your horses did well to arrive here without dying from a heart attack. You drove them hard, woke the entire hold. Now, you men will rest and have some food. I'll send word via Raven to the king and follow up with a rider of my own in a few hours. Not that I doubt your word, but perhaps by then we'll have additional confirmation on what exactly we're dealing with."
The Jarl stood and was about to dismiss the hall when, unexpectedly, a voice rang out, very loudly, suddenly, and sharply. The hall went silent as a dark-robed, slender figure stepped forward, carrying a wooden staff that swanked a pearl the size of a human fist at its tip. The figure had a cowl pulled low to cover their face and wore a rope belt tied about their waist that featured various small pouches. Across their shoulder, They wore a leather bag that was adorned by various symbols and runes, many of which were also on their robes. Swords sang as they were ripped from their sheaths, and not long after found themselves pointing at the figure who had somehow eluded detection by the Jarl's guards and stood now where only those invited ever did.
What's the meaning of this interruption? Who are you? Show yourself.
The figure stood at ease, almost relaxed in spite of the swords that threatened to end its life suddenly, if not with ceremony.
Which should I do first, Your Grace? Define this interruption, tell you who I am, or reveal my face?
The Jarl gave a wave, and his guards sheathed their weapons. The figure removed their cowl, revealing a woman's face. She had long, auburn hair, pale skin, and eyes that shimmered white. By all accounts, she was very beautiful and self-confident, almost defiant, one might suggest. And yet she exuded a humility that was in sharp contrast to what might otherwise be defined as hubris. The Jarl looked on her with suspicion and chose his next words carefully.
With a gesture, I could have you killed where you stand.
Then we have something in common, my Jarl. However, I did not travel for the last 3 days from my master's shrine to increase the death toll. The dragon will more than satiate that thirst.
Who are you, and what do you know of this dragon?
I am Jenna Kiss, first apprentice to Archmage Borocane of the Order of Necrology.
Necromancers! I should put your head on a spike for daring to stain my hall with your filth.
The guards eased their hands to the hilts of their swords, awaiting the order to strike. But oddly, no such order was ever uttered. Instead, the Jarl sipped more wine, dabbed his mouth and forehead with his handkerchief, and returned his attention to Jenna.
Yes, Your Grace. I am a necromancer.
Then you are responsible for this dragon?
Not directly, no.
I have no time for your games, mage. If you know something about this dragon, then you'll reveal it now, or I shall see to it that you experience necrology from a very different perspective.
Clever metaphors aside, Highness, I was getting to that. No, I'm not directly responsible for the appearance of this dragon. My master, however, is.
A hush fell over the room as the tension mounted. The Jarl began to pace until finally he walked down the short flight of steps that led up to his throne to stand directly before Jenna.
Borocane's evil is known throughout the realm. I could list his acts of wickedness if only there were a scroll long enough in the world on which to write them. Are you telling me that your master's responsible for raising a dragon from the dead?
No, sire, I'm telling you that my master is the dragon.
The Jarl dropped his ring at this news and barely noticed as his goblet crashed with a clang, spilling its contents into a small puddle. Jenna sighed as the room found its composure.
How is it that Borocane is a dragon?
A month ago, my master obtained one of the lost scrolls of malediction. There are 3 such scrolls in the known world, each granting a unique gift, as well as a curse to the caster before destroying itself. The scroll my master obtained promised to grant the powers of any beast the caster named. What it did not reveal was that its reader would become the very beast whose power the scroll promised.
Serves him right, given his malicious deeds over the years.
Perhaps. Who it does not serve are the innocents he will no doubt kill. My master is not in his right mind, Highness. For all intents and purposes, he is an onyx dragon, the rarest and most powerful of their breed. And he is loose in Welkin.
Have you come to gloat, Necromancer? Do you have a list of demands for this hold? For the king himself?
Are you really this daft?
At the insult, Captain Corlo drew his blade and grabbed Jenna by her throat. But before his fingers could tighten their grip, she grabbed his wrist, twisted it to the side, and bent it backwards. The pearl on her wooden staff sprang to life and glowed a combination of purple and black, and found itself inches away from Corlo's face. The Jarl rolled his eyes as Corlo whimpered in pain.
Release him!
As you wish. If this were a scheme between my master and I, what would I have to gain by coming here and revealing my end game? I have one purpose, to see my master restored to his human form. And to achieve that end, I require assistance.
At this, the Jarl laughed loudly, his rotund belly jiggling as he walked back up to his throne and reseated himself.
There's not a man here who would help your master. When word reaches the king, he will give orders to slay this beast, and that will be the end of it.
Do you know what an onyx dragon can do, Highness? Are you even remotely aware of the mayhem such a creature is capable of?
The question hung there, unanswered. Captain Corlo looked down at the floor.
These riders from Echo Village received a small taste of this dragon's power, and barely lived to bring you word.
The ancient dragon bones that line the museums in the city were defeated by simple looters looking for the dragon's gold. With our technological advancements and superior weaponry, we will make quick work of this beast. But I am curious. What would someone of your obvious experience have us do, Necromancer?
Jenna took the comment in stride and responded evenly.
I believe the power of the Scrolls of Malediction can be reversed. The true expert on them is Archmagus Damian Lucian. I'm hoping to find the information we need from him, should he agree to grant me an audience.
The Jarl's face brightened at the mention of the name.
No white robe mage will grant audience to a necromancer, least of all Magus Lucian. Your kind is universally hated, and your master most of all. What makes you think the Magus will assist you, if he even can?
I believe he will need to be convinced, my Jarl, and that is where you come in. And the longer we discuss this matter, the more convincing I will likely need to do. I require a small garrison of 10 of your best to accompany me to the Mages Guild, along with a letter bearing your seal requesting audience on my behalf. When I have obtained the reversal spell, they will accompany me to find my master and distract him in his dragon form long enough for me to reverse it.
And I suppose after that, your master will just come willingly with us to answer for his extensive crimes, correct?
Jenna nodded, shocked at the Jarl's sarcasm. For the first time in this encounter, she lost her confidence to a feeling of naivete and inexperience. When the Jarl saw her innocence and pain, he did not wait for her to respond.
You have a kind heart, Genikis. That much is clear. Anyone who would advocate for such an evil man is endowed with a measure of good that only the gods could have granted. Which begs a question. Why would you want to help an evil man such as Borrow Kane? How did you end up being his apprentice?
Is it not enough, my Jarl, to do good for the sake thereof?
The Jarl was unsatisfied, but did not press the issue further. He turned to his servant and delivered an order, while keeping eye contact with Jenna.
I cannot spare a garrison of that many men with a dragon on the loose. However, I will provide you with a horse and one escort. You will travel to the royal city of Finn with Kronos, the leader of my personal guard. Perhaps the king will grant your request. Or perhaps he will place your head on a spike. I honestly do not care which. One way or the other, your master will be dealt with. And should our paths cross again, so shall you be.
With that, the Jarl stood, gave a nod, and exited the hall. Guards made their way to Jenna and escorted her out of the palace and into the adjacent guard barracks where Kronos was waiting.